Nadine from Juggle Mum, the BritMums blog editor, and I'm here at the Lawn Tennis Association indoor courts in Edgbaston Priory. We're with Annabel Croft behind me and other BritMums bloggers. Why is everyone clearing the screen? Come on guys, go Judy! We're here to play some tennis today.
Take the session with me, and then when I leave to go and speak to all the bloggers, then Lane's going to carry on with the kids. So we're going to start.
Yes.
Let's start with a little bit of a warm-up.
Start with a warm-up. Your warm-up? My warm-up.
Yes, I'm going to start with a little bit of a warm-up. So part of this legacy campaign is, as you were explaining up there, we're going to be training up 1,000 coaches to try to introduce 10,000 kids to it. And I've been going out on the road with Greg Rosetsky. I know Leon Smith, who's the Davis Cup captain, he's going to be going out as well. And part of the programme is to get a warm-up going, then to introduce the kids to some sort of ball activities, which is very similar. So all the exercises that we do are relating to the game of tennis in some way. So we'll just start. We're going to tag team here between warm-ups. So we're going to start with a bit of a snake. So I'm going to be the front of the snake. Do we have one snake or two?
I can be the end of a snake.
Yeah, you can be the end of the snake. So who wants to come behind me? And we're just going to do some
go for it, guys. Go for it.
So we're just going to warm up around the...
Annabel, I've got to say, I write a blog called Juggle Mum, and so I'm really mad keen about what busy mum, how busy mums run their lives. I'm nosy basically. I like to know how people manage and what they do. I understand you've got 3 children. Wow. So 3 children. You've got a career as a presenter. You run a tennis holiday company as well. I'm aware of. So how do you manage to do the juggle yourself?
Oh, it is unbelievable juggling, and it's a case of trying to be really organised, thinking ahead all the time, but it is exhausting. I think you have to have enormous energy as any mum, don't you? Any mum will identify with other mothers and appreciate what everybody's going through, but it is constantly just planning ahead, thinking about how to get the best out of every moment of every day. But it definitely feels like sometimes it's overwhelming because it's just, there's never any breaks where you can just stop and just like go. I feel like for 20 years it's been in a tunnel actually, and you never feel like you just stop and do nothing and just pick up a magazine and just chill out. It's non-stop, but that's the only way I can describe it, is making lists for myself constantly and just always trying to plan and think of how to get the best out of each day, but it's non-stop. And one day I'll maybe just be chilling out, and I think that you have plenty of time in the future to be like that, but I think you definitely have a lot of energy.
I did also want to ask before I move on, just do any of your children play tennis? And if so, is having you as a mum a hindrance in that respect because you're so famous?
That's a really good question, because all 3 of my kids play. I've introduced them to it at a very early age, and I always wanted them just to actually be able to enjoy tennis as a sport for life, not to introduce them to go, right, I want my kid to be a Wimbledon champion, because I think tennis is a sport which is unusual in that you can introduce a child to tennis at a very early age. I mean, the kids that we're playing today were, 5 up to 8, maybe there was kind of older ones as well, but you can start at 3 and you can play right the way through. I mean, I've seen 90-year-olds out there on court, and I regularly hit with a guy that's about 73 years of age, who's amazing actually. He gives me a really good run for my money, but I think it's a sport you can enjoy for life, and it's a sport that you can do anywhere in the world. You can go down to your local park and play. And there's not many sports that you can do, like I can play with my son. I can't go out on a rugby pitch and play with my son, but I can play tennis with him. So there's not many sports that you can do that with, and I think it's a wonderful sport, and it's what you want to get out of it as well. So it's not a sport that everybody, I always say to people, don't think, oh God, we're trying to produce Wimbledon champions, because that's too overwhelming for most people. It can be just a sport where you just go and hit, or you can make it a little bit competitive if you want to be competitive, or you can have a child that goes, actually, I really want to do this as a profession, but that's a whole different thing altogether. So, I certainly introduced mine just because I wanted them to enjoy it socially and play that Sunday afternoon game of tennis. They could play on holiday with friends, play mixed doubles, play just for fun. Yeah, and all three of them do play actually, and it's worked out exactly how I wanted it to work out, and I think they get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Moving on, so can I ask a question? So, what tips have you got for people that have never played tennis before, or their children haven't, to kind of encourage them to start? Are there sort of a few tips that you can mention?
Well, obviously, like we're at a club today, so a club is a great place to start anyway. There are many park facilities as well. And there's lots of information on the LTA website as to how to get involved in tennis. There's masses of support on there, so it's always a good idea to go and look at the LTA website to see what's the local areas that you can play in. But to be honest, I started in a very small, well actually funny enough, I started on holiday actually. I was just kind of like at the hotel that we were staying in when I was 9. And I just ended up joining a group session, and back then it cost me 50p. Can you believe it? And I joined a group session, and I just absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the sport straight away. And at the time I was doing ballet and horse riding. And I came home after our holiday, and I said to my mum I really wanted to carry on playing. And as I said, I found this group session, and I was a bit like what they were doing today. I mean, just starting off.
Quite late, 9,
Nine was late then. Yeah, it was very well. Then that was kind of normal, but
was it?
yeah. So now we do start them much earlier with the mini tennis, like they were hitting the softballs and everything. But yeah, it was quite late by today's standards. But it's not too late. I don't think it's ever too late to pick up a tennis racket. I think people it doesn't really matter. They could be 60 and pick up a racket for the first time. But I've certainly met women recently who've taken up age 40 plus, and you just think, and they've had so much enjoyment out of it. And it really doesn't matter because there's always something to learn in tennis, and it's always a way of bettering yourself in some way. So if you're just working on all night trying to connect with the ball and hit forehands and backhands, I mean, there's plenty of elements to learn in tennis, but there's always something that you can work on for yourself.
Saying about the difference in the atmosphere at the Davis
Yes.
Cup, is the Davis Cup maybe a better way to introduce a novice to tennis, do you think?
Do you know, well, it's an amazing experience for anybody who goes to the Davis Cup, and I think if you started with Davis Cup, the atmosphere would be very different if you suddenly went to Wimbledon. Because the Davis Cup is like a team event. It's the partisan crowd that go crazy. There's no restrictions on noise really, and people have drums in the corner and trumpets and musical instruments, and it's just the most overwhelming kind of. It's actually a real feel-good factor inside the stadium. But if you go to Wimbledon, it is so special because it's like the history of the game, it's the heritage that Wimbledon is. I mean, it's like going to a cathedral actually, and sort of, the noise level inside there, it's like you could hear a pin drop, but yet there's an electricity about it. And it's just really special. And I think anybody who has memories of going to Wimbledon, it's an incredibly special experience. So, and all the great champions in our history of sport have been through Wimbledon, So, so it's very different. I think if you started at Davis Cup and then went to Wimbledon, you just notice a very big difference, but they're both very special in every way.
I guess I just got 2 young children. I guess I'm thinking Davis Cup might be the way to go.
Rather than I think it would be very encouraging because of the noise level and the excitement factor and the buzz and the electricity that's in the stadium. You cannot not have fun. I mean, it's just amazing. But Wimbledon has this different electricity and buzz about it, but then it's very kind of individual. It's like 2 gladiators out there going head to head. It's got, there's so much intensity about watching tennis anyway, isn't there? I always think when you're watching a tennis match, it is very gladiatorial, but you're kind of entering into the psychology of the 2 players. That's why I think it's such a great spectator sport, because you live the pressure moments with the players, and you're kind of like, you're riding this emotional wave with them. It's fascinating.
About Tennis for Kids and the campaign by the Lawn Tennis Association.
It's a brilliant one.
It's fantastic, and you're obviously passionate about getting kids into tennis. Could you tell us why you think that Tennis for Kids is so important?
Because I think what Great Britain did with winning the Davis Cup last year was an unbelievably special moment in the history of British tennis. 79 years since we won the Davis Cup the last time. And I think it's an amazing moment to capture that and really kind of make the most of it. And we need to get definitely more kids playing sport, not just with an aim to winning Wimbledon. I'm always like, no, put that to one side. It's about getting them out there and enjoying the sport so that they can enjoy it for the rest of their lives at the levels that we were talking about earlier, like social level, just fun, enjoying trying to improve yourself in something. And
Confidence as well. That's what I've
and
noticed in my
confidence.
boys, the confidence
Yeah,
from tennis.
yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
Yeah. So this campaign is basically it's out there to try to we've recruited 1,000 coaches who are going to put together a 6-week program which is free, and they've got to get 10 kids signed up for that program. At the end of the 6 weeks they will be given a free racket, so there's an incentive there for them to get this racket. And if every coach, those 1,000, get those 10 kids on the court, that's 10,000 kids we've introduced to the sport, which is fantastic. And if you keep building the bigger base of the pyramid, then it's going to help in every way. And also we want to introduce, it's not just for kids, it's to introduce their parents to the sport perhaps as well, just get the cultural side of it.
It's making it accessible for all, isn't it? Especially if it's free.
Yeah, and it's harnessing this feeling of having won the Davis Cup last year. It's like really trying to pick up that momentum and keep going with it.
And tennis does have this image of being a posh person's sport.
Yes, it does.
And I think it can be hard to pay for the equipment, join a tennis club, that kind of thing. So if it's free and they're getting a racket, you might get a lot of kids that wouldn't normally take it up, and that'd be brilliant, because once you've started, it's not as it's like kids play. You've not got a lot of money, and it's actually quite compared to some of the things they do. It's quite an inexpensive.
Well, I used to play in the parks, and I grew up, and I had my session at 50p, and then there was like a park session, which I think was also, I know it's not 50p today to do things like that, but I joined a group in the park, and it was about meeting other kids of the same kind of level or ages, and just arranging to play with them. And that's what I think doesn't happen enough, actually. A lot of parents come to me and go, oh, which program to get involved in? And I actually always say, well, meet other kids in the sessions that you do, and then actually get their numbers and arrange to play with them.
On weekends, go to tennis courts. There's tennis courts that let you book for free from as well outside, outdoors.
Yeah, there are. So I did that as a kid, and I think it would be nice if more kids did that, because I think maybe in today's modern world, parents are kind of like very responsible for what's going on, but actually a lot of kids don't often just get off their backsides and do it themselves. You have to come in and arrange to do something with another child. It's always kind of very parent-led, which I know it has to be, but there is also a side that I think kids could be encouraged to kind of go, oh, well, you like his company, you've played a little bit together, go and arrange to play in the park. Why do you not want to play tennis? We have to encourage you to get into some sort of activity in sport.
Thank you,
look very athletic.
She's gorgeous. Thank you so much. Thank you.